This episode of the GSE podcast is brought to you by Fort Brand, not your everyday GSE provider. We go beyond belt loaders and bag tractors, offering tow barless pushbacks, de-icers, and airport maintenance equipment, all available on demand across North America and the UK. Whether you need electric units to support your ESG goals or traditional equipment for today's ramp, Fort Brand delivers flexible leasing with the option of full-service maintenance to keep your fleet at peak performance. When you partner with Fort Brand, you get more than equipment. You get expertise, reliability, and a commitment to keeping your operation running smoothly. Visit fortbrand.com to learn more.
This is Christian Eitner.
This is Kyle Bruner.
This is Calder Orr.
This is Ronan Malahan, and you are listening to the GSE podcast.
All right. Well, welcome to the GSE podcast. I'm Matt Weitzel, and today I am joined by Allen Energy. So I have Todd Allen and Devin Sinclair, and they are both joining me at the Orlando office today, the new podcast studio that I'm setting up. That's not quite there yet, but we at least have a room. Right, and that's the start of a podcast studio. So we're going to get there, and today we're videoing this one. So hopefully that works out. So Todd, how's it going? Now you live in Orlando, right, or somewhere near Orlando?
I live southwest Orlando in Windermere, about half hour from here, and been living here for about 25 years.
Oh wow! So what brought you to the Orlando area?
It was to get into the battery business.
Oh really?
I was graduating from business school. And there was a little company owned by a couple guys in Missouri who wanted to sell it. And it was two field techs that went around and fixed industrial batteries and chargers for forklifts.
Oh.
And I wouldn't say that was my start. If we want to go really far back, when I was in undergrad, I had a job at a battery company, welding cables and acid adjustments and load tests, and I also worked for a company that did consulting for international battery factories. So I got to start a long time ago.
So you've been in the battery industry for how many years then?
Well,
or at least
let's not
put a number to it. So a long time since
25 years in Orlando.
Okay,
in the battery business, starting out doing material handling, forklifts.
Okay.
And then I'd say about 20 years in GSE.
Wow. Nice. Okay. And then how did Allen Energy get its start? So when did you actually,
It was founded in 2000 when I moved to Orlando.
Okay.
I eventually sold that business, the material handling business, just to focus on GSE. And in the beginning, it was me and one assistant. And then it's since grown from there. So
why GSE? Like what made you move away from material handling and come to our beautiful industry of GSE?
So while we were doing material handling, we had dabbled into GSE from the very beginning. I mean, when the industry was starting to electrify, we were very much a part of that. Starting with American Airlines, at the time Continental. And we became, the industry experts at the time. Now there's a lot more players, but that was just like a side business kind of that we got pulled into out of a very strange series of relationships. And then it became part of our business. And when I sold the material handling part, it was an easy transition into GSE.
Yeah, for sure. And then Devin, how did you get your start in GSE?
I have no idea.
No, we all want to know. Everybody's been asking me, and I'm like, dude, don't worry. I'm going to ask him on the podcast.
As you know, I have a leasing background.
Yes.
And I actually did not start in ground support equipment. I started with a company called Balboa Capital. We leased, you name it. And I leased farm tractors to farmers and dental chairs to dentists. But from there, I found a common background with the current ownership of Mercury. And we kicked it off the day we met. I mean, I just ended up working for his team. Didn't know if I was ever going to like this industry. I didn't even know what I was going to sell. I thought I was going to sell jet bridges.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what you know, right?
That's all I really knew. I didn't understand that there was a whole bunch of equipment crawling around the airport underneath the wing of the aircraft. But no, I fell in love with it. And, I'm still here today. Like I always say, once you go to GSE, you can never really leave.
That's very true. And we talk about that a lot on the podcast. Is something that comes up on, I guess, about every other podcast, is like people try to leave, but they can't.
I'll add that when I sold the business and was going to work on GSE, that was going to be a 1 or 2 year project.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's
20 years later.
20 years later, you're still here. You can't leave.
No, I mean, there's something that just draws you in. And I think the key piece of it is the people, right? And the relationships that we all have, the tight little network that we have. And, one of my favorite things is going to the GSE Expo. Not so much to go grab all the business that's out there. It's just so that I can see everybody because we've got a great relationship. I mean, you can edit this out if you want, but there was a point in time where you and I were competitors, but I still always looked at your team as friends, and there's something that's very valuable to that, and I appreciate it. So, yeah, like I said, here I am, and I don't think I'm ever leaving.
That's good.
I ain't never leaving.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's this rumor going around the industry. I don't know if you've heard it or not, but the reason that Devin left was because he knew he wouldn't be able to make it on the podcast unless he went to another company. So
there's some truth to that.
There's a lot of truth to that. I keep being told that, but anyway. So, but we're here to talk today about something that's very important, and I'm so glad that you all decided to come on the podcast because obviously electrification is top of mind right now. A lot of people are obviously talking about it. We recently were awarded, Fort Brand was awarded T6. We're going in as almost all electric, and then eventually it will be all electric. So I think if we're taking a nod from that, that's kind of the way the industry is moving. And you all supply batteries and chargers to the industry.
Yeah, and what a coincidence.
Right, I know. And so anyway, so it's really, I'm glad that you're here, and let's start talking about what Allen Energy does, what you bring to the table. What kind of battery chemistries are you using right now?
I'll start. We do, historically, Allen Energy has done a ton of lead acid. And as the industry has shifted and product demand has shifted to lithium, we brought on a new supplier whose name is Colibri. I'm sure a lot of people listening to this know who Colibri is. But Colibri offers an NMC chemistry battery, which is nickel, manganese, cobalt. You might have to edit that out if I got that wrong, but I think I got it right.
Maybe manganese, but it's all right.
Tomato. Okay, got it. I think you nailed it, Devin.
I think I did, yeah.
Yeah, you really did.
I'm proud of him. That's good.
But no, Todd, I'll let you add on to that.
Well, and we also can offer iron phosphate. Even in our mobile charging cart, we use an NCA battery. It's a Tesla battery. So we are very open to all the chemistries. They have, some pros and cons, but we try to use primarily the safest battery, and then chemistry would be, for particular applications.
So there's still, as much as people push lithium, there's still a lot of people using lead acid, right? I mean, that is still, is that still the preferred? I mean, in like the airline industry, especially with airlines, are they using lead acid?
Well, overwhelmingly, the fleet of batteries is lead acid. It's 90+%. But in terms of new purchases, it's still more lead acid because you're just replacing. It's really hard to start integrating lithium into a large fleet of lead acid. It takes time. But I think we're approaching in the 50% kind of range as the larger carriers are converting to lithium. We're crossing over to where it's going to be more lithium than lead industry-wide. And then just industrial battery-wise, lead acid isn't going away. In fact, all the forecasts show lead acid will just remain rather constant, and the growth in battery business will be in different chemistries.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say that this industry is a little bit afraid of change, but I think that there are some key players and a lot of educated people that are coming to the table with real data about lithium now, and people are gaining a better understanding of it and trusting that making the switch could be beneficial to their operation. So I would say it's probably a very slow transition, but we are seeing it happen, and we can see it happen in our numbers.
Yeah. And then with chargers, so you all offer chargers as well. So what kind of what kind of chargers are you offering to the industry?
We offer ACT chargers, advanced charging technologies. ACT offers single port GSE charger rated for outdoor use, as well as indoor chargers as well. They offer a range of options for both the AC input as well as the AC output. Or sorry, is it DC output? Yeah, I got that one wrong again too. But they are also offering an option now for dual port chargers, which is a very big move for them in this industry because that's what a lot of the carriers want. So we've had a lot of traction with ACT chargers because they've helped us with putting a lot of effort and a lot of resources towards building something that is actually applicable to the ground support equipment space, as to where their primary focus in the past was in material handling. So now that we've got products that this industry wants and needs, we've been gaining a lot more traction selling ACT chargers.
Gotcha.
And we also sell other brands, Enersys being one of them, where it's a more conventional charger, still a smart charger. They also offer various chargers for different applications. So we continue to sell multiple brands based on the application.
So what do you think about gate charging?
We understand the need for gate charging because there's an infrastructure issue. And so the gates have power. But with everything, when we're trying to use workaround solutions for the lack of infrastructure, it's great because it's a solution. It's not the best or end solution, but it is a good solution when there isn't anything else. It's just, you're relying on an aircraft and not being there, ample power, space. So there are some issues that have to be overcome. And I think that's why you don't see every airport relying on it, but it is an absolutely great option when you don't have another one.
Yeah, for sure. And is that something you all offer?
Sure. We offer a gate power sharing device, as well as we have chargers that operate directly off of 200 volt, 400 hertz power. So we don't need to do any sort of special conversion. We're kind of ready to go. In fact, our mobile cart, maybe we'll have time to talk about that, but one of the power supplies that you can use to charge the battery that's on board is, gate power, 400 hertz gate power.
Yeah, I mean, let's dive right in. So you have a mobile charging solution?
We do. We call it the Quanta Cart. We've got several names for it. The name that you will see on the side of the piece of equipment is the Quanta Cart, but the uncoined name is the Juice Box.
Oh, I like the Juice Box.
The Juice Box, yeah.
The Quanta Cart sounds like something out of a Marvel movie, and the Juice Box sounds like something out of my lunch in elementary school. So.
Yes, exactly. It's a little more attractive, right? Tastes a little bit better. But no, our Quanta Cart it's a very customizable piece of equipment that can be used in several different applications. We were actually showcasing one at the GSE Expo, and we got a lot more traction than we anticipated getting on it. And now we are picking and choosing the customers that we want to, enter this new chapter of our business with. So Todd, I'll let you get a little bit more into the specs, just because you can roll off your tongue a little bit better than I can.
That sounds exciting.
I know, dude, it's the best. That's what our listeners want.
Yeah, thanks, Devin. Well, I will say that it is just like gate charging. We're still talking about workaround solutions.
Mm-hmm.
We would much rather have chargers sitting there where tractors are and you can plug in. But given that there isn't chargers everywhere that are easily available, it makes sense to have a device that you can take out to the equipment instead of having the equipment find a charger that may or may not exist. So the good thing about our cart, one, is it's fully electric. It has a battery on board that supplies all the power for charging. And we can do a high voltage battery or a low voltage battery. We can have 480 volt input, 240 volt, three-phase or single-phase, 400 hertz. We could use an EV charger. Whatever it is that you have, we'll be able to charge the battery. We'll be able to even bypass the battery and charge and use that power to go directly to the chargers with, you need 2 ports, you need 4 ports. The good thing about being mobile is that it's small. You can take it anywhere and you can daisy chain it. We're basically using a baggage cart so that you can have 1 to 4, as many as you want to take out to wherever you need. So it's the flexibility in terms of the power input, the amount of power you need to charge batteries, the ability to be small enough and mobile to take it somewhere, and then the output's completely flexible in terms of connectors, power, current, and what we can charge. We can charge a lead acid, we can charge any chemistry, we can do a identifier type charging or BMS charging, which would be our preference.
And being the director of sales and marketing, I've got to throw in too that as you saw at the GSE Expo, we can wrap it with some pretty cool designs.
Oh yeah, that's even more important.
That's the best part about it, right? Although I don't think anybody's going to want me to design what their Quanticart looks like. I'm just saying we can do it.
You can do it. Yeah. So what does it look like if I'm a customer and I'm hearing this podcast and I'm interested in that solution? Where can I see one? Are you all going to have demos? I know you're kind of picking and choosing the customers because of the feedback that you got at the GSE Expo, but what does that look like?
Yeah, the quantity of orders that we had to deny at the show was quite... it was hard. It's hard to say no to an order.
Yeah, I know, right?
But we did agree to an order. First one will be at JFK.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We have been asked to send one to Honolulu, but we just don't know if Honolulu is the best spot for the first Quanticart. Although I would love to go check on the
cart exactly. Maybe you could stay for a couple months.
There's no shortage of Allen Energy employees who have volunteered
exactly
to be like a resident engineer in Honolulu. But we had people in Europe saying that we were ready to buy them right now. We're like, let's put one at JFK first.
Yeah. Just make sure. Yeah. Get it all field tested where you can, and then I guess this is kind of goes into something I wanted to talk about is, what does your support network look like at Allen Energy?
Our suppliers offer a lot of support for us, and our suppliers have dealer networks across all of North America. So oftentimes we can lean on their support networks for technical support or just getting somebody out to an airport. Like I said, not only are they across North America, but they've got locations right around the airports, which makes it a lot more convenient. Recently, as demand has shifted towards lithium, we've found it very important to hire engineers and technicians in-house that can also travel across North America to assist with the very little issues that lithium has. We've strategically located people across the United States. All of us work from home, which, pros and cons to that. But one of the pros is that we are strategically spread out across the United States so that if we do have to respond to a service call, we can be there as efficiently as possible.
Okay. And then
Devin's personal service territory is the state of California.
Yeah.
He has been doing real service calls on lithium batteries. Very impressive.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I said. Really?
Hey, yeah, exactly. I didn't know.
I am a firm believer that the best way to learn something is to get thrown into the fire, get thrown into the deep end, because it's either sink or swim.
That's right.
So I have purposely been raising my hand when there is something close to me that I can go put my attention on, not because I want to get shocked by a battery and file a workers' comp claim.
And not because he has a new baby at home. It has nothing to do with any of those things.
Has nothing to do with, nothing to do with me wanting to be out of the house. No, it really is because I am learning 10 new things every day. And it is because I'm putting myself in these situations where I'm forced to learn. Todd's going to laugh at this, but there's been situations where I've gotten very frustrated with myself because I couldn't figure these issues out when, I probably have no reason for doing that because it's not easy stuff. But, at the end of the day, the frustration turns into me, learning a lot about the products that we sell, and it's been very helpful for me getting the ball rolling in this position.
I should add up the years of experience in GSE we have, our technical knowledge, including our service coordinators. You could call any of our sales coordinators, any of our inside admin can answer technical questions because they've been doing this for so long.
That's amazing. That's good. Yeah, I mean, you've been in business since 2000. So, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And you keep a good crew around and they're able to help out. And then how does telematics kind of work inside the batteries? Does that help out with service and support as well? Is that something that you offer?
Yeah, so frequently, because all of our equipment comes with telematics. So many times there's something that is not working. And it may be something significant, but mostly it's very insignificant, just requires a switch, a program change, firmware update, something, and we can go online through the cloud, pull up that piece of equipment, identify what the issue is, and possibly just fix it right there before we have to then fly to a destination and take a lot of time with equipment being out of service. So that has been extremely helpful. Our devices interface with some of the popular telematics systems. And then we have, our own user interfaces for different products.
Yeah. And believe it or not, a lot of the times there's an issue with a battery. All we have to do is tell the customer to go plug it into a charger. So we can tell remotely that the battery is at a low state of charge, and all they really need to do is go plug that thing in. But I understand it's very hard to plug equipment into a charger.
Well, it's all because of infrastructure. If the infrastructure was there, they wouldn't have as many problems.
Yeah. Well, I think I could go by any major airport and I would find completely discharged batteries in a tractor sitting right next to a charger, unplugged.
Yeah. I'd say that's probably the case. Yeah. So what does that look like as far as, with lithium batteries, I guess you should never let them get below 20%, and I guess they're optimal up to 80%. Is that true?
So
kind of talk to me about that. You've been in the business for a long time, so you're a good person to ask.
Yeah. So on a lead acid battery, the maximum depth of discharge would be 80% or minimum state of charge 20%. And all of the existing controllers have an algorithm to prevent batteries from being discharged past that. They don't work. That's why we have dead batteries. Lithium with the BMS, it protects the battery. So the battery protects itself against an over discharge, an overcharge. We have a lot of margin built in between what we call 0 and what we call 100. So we will allow the battery to go down close to 0 and all the way to 100, even though there's a lot of space, real space on either side. If you want to maximize the life of the battery, you're operating in that middle state of charge. 20 to 80 would be a good target.
All right. And then I just thought of this, and so I'm going to ask you. So I think I mentioned earlier that, we have this big T6 project going on. So we announced it on LinkedIn, and we had a person on LinkedIn comment, well, it'll be interesting to see how all this electric equipment holds up in the cold. So something of that nature. So can you talk to that question? Like how will all this electric equipment that we have, hold up in the cold? And then do your batteries have some kind of system where they will warm themselves up to if they get too cold, all that kind of stuff? So
every battery we ship has heaters built in.
Okay.
Not just a wrap around the battery. They're internal to the batteries, so all the cells maintain a common temperature. Even on the juice box, we literally have essentially like a radiator style cooling and heating system so that the cells are always at the same temperature. That maximizes life and performance. But in the cold, if the battery is not being used and it starts to have a lower temperature, the heaters kick on. Here's where the problem comes in. The heaters come on and they'll stay on and they consume power. And if you are not using the battery for a long period of time, eventually, we're talking about days, the battery will discharge down and will eventually turn off. Then the temperature continues to drop. Then you have a dead battery that's cold, and lithium has a unique downside in terms of charging. You cannot charge a lithium battery below freezing. So if you have a battery that is below 32 degrees Fahrenheit and it's dead, then you have to heat that battery back up one way or the other.
So maybe tow it into a place that's covered and bring up the temperature naturally.
Put it into a microwave.
And I've seen people use heaters, external heaters, to literally outside blowing hot air onto batteries. That tends to work. We also have the technology where you plug into the charger and the BMS says, give me just a little bit of power. And that's just enough to turn the heaters on. And then when the battery gets warm, then we'll ask for more power and start charging the battery. That requires the charger to have the right protocol and have the right firmware, but that technology is there. Again, if you're in the cold and you have lithium batteries, just plug them into the chargers. If they're at a decent state of charge, they will always be on. They'll always be hot. They'll always be ready to go. It's plugging into the charger would be the secret to everything.
Thank you for answering that question. So it just reminds me, though, with the ACT chargers, that's what you're using, right? Mm-hmm. Do they also have telematics on them? Because you said the firmware has to be updated, all that kind of stuff. Can that be remotely done to update the chargers that you all have out in operation?
Yes, it can. ACT has proprietary software called ActView, which is something that can be purchased with the chargers. And that is essentially their telemetry that you can access remotely.
And it's actually the best telemetry I've seen on any charging system. You'll get GPS so you know exactly where it is, but also, you can look at historical data. You can see every piece of information about that charger, when the last time something got plugged in, what got plugged in, what kind of charge happened. If it didn't charge, what was the fault? It'll even give you a live version of what the customer is seeing on the screen of the charger. So you're looking at that on your computer as he's looking at it. They're live on site and you're looking at the same thing. It's very effective in terms of maintaining uptime on the equipment.
What kind of advancements do you see happening with batteries? I know that, people talk about sodium. Is that right? Sodium batteries. What are you all looking at as far as like future state? I know obviously we've gotten to the point where, like you said, lithium is being used. What's kind of next out there that people are talking about?
This goes back to our industry specifically is fearful of change. And I think that lithium is still such a new idea for the GSE space that it's really hard to see that there is going to be another change on the horizon or in the near future. But, technology seems to change and be put out into the market more rapidly as time goes on. So I have heard myself a lot about sodium batteries. I've heard that our military actually is using a handful of them in different applications. So I think the test cases are starting to pop up, and that could be a direction that it does go in.
Yeah, we're constantly looking at whatever might be a viable technology for GSE. Sodium does seem to be what's next, although it's not commercially viable right now, but it will be eventually, I think, if we're going to just take our best guess.
Is it difficult, like if I have a lead acid tractor, to then convert that to a lithium because of the weight and things like that of that tractor? There's have to be additional engineering done?
I wouldn't say not necessarily additional engineering, but yes, you're right in the terms of the counterweight reduction that you have when you go into a lithium battery, because lithium batteries are a lot more lightweight than old style lead acid batteries. So, when we are doing conversions from lead acid to lithium, one of the things that we do have to do is drop a counterweight, a piece of steel, into the tractor to get some of that weight back. But as far as the installation process, it's not a hard.
It's pretty straightforward.
Pretty straightforward, yeah.
Nice.
And if the tractor is older and the controller is not ready to take a CAN signal, we can still adjust the parameters such that it's still keeping the battery from being over discharged. So the operator still sees a low state of charge, still gets the alert, still goes into creep mode, and then eventually would shut off. And then worst case, it goes so long that the battery will shut off to protect itself.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about the controller side. That's something that you all can help out with as well.
Yeah, we typically, if we were to do a retrofit from lead to lithium, we're supplying steel, and then we're supplying new parameters for the controller if the controller's old. If it's new and it can take the CAN signal, which really it's only looking for state of charge minimally, we can offer as much information as the tractor wants, but we're just giving it state of charge so that it then can have a correct setting on the meter, and then the operator knows when to plug it in.
Yeah, and to your point, that is one thing on the long list of things that we help all of our customers with. And Allen Energy has seen a lot of the issues and has had to come up with a lot of solutions for situations just like that. And that's why our customers call us, because we've got decades now of experience just finding solutions for compatibility and transition into new technology. And yeah, we're a resource that people can rely on.
Yeah. So with new technology, as you're mentioning, what about high voltage charging, Todd? What do you think about that? I know that there's some push in the industry to get that. Is that something that you see as a viable thing? And how much further in the future are we thinking that's going to be?
Well, yeah, I feel like the question is not if, but when. You've seen some OEMs go 100% high voltage and have to come back to low voltage. And you've seen some high voltage companies just really not succeed because we are living in an 80 volt world. Every charger installation is low voltage. And to convert that to high voltage is a long-term process. It's not just money, it's a lot of work and coordination. And you've got lots of different companies out there with different technologies, and we still haven't gotten the integration standardized. So everybody's doing something a little bit different and it makes it challenging. So I am one of those people who believes we're going to go to high voltage eventually. Not next year. It can't happen. It's not possible. But 5 years, who knows? Who knows? But it's going to happen. And you see the technology on road vehicle side really starting to drive the technology into GSE. I mean, I can't remember how many presentations I gave about the positive plate and a lead acid battery, and who cares about that? But now we have a lot of really, really good high technology things to talk about. And it gets complicated, but it's exciting for our industry to really be moving in a high tech direction. And I think as the bottom line, yes, we're going to go to high voltage.
Is material handling already there, or
no? They're still in a low voltage world too. Okay. Although the high voltage offers so many advantages in terms of density, performance and the integration. Like if you own an electric car, you might need an adapter, but you're going to be able to plug into any EV charger that you find. And it would be great if GSE could get to that point where any battery could plug into any charger and work.
Yeah. At this recent GSE Expo, I think it was a relevant conversation that was happening often. I know we had a couple of the OEMs come up to our booth asking how we could integrate with high voltage. And outside of the GSE Expo, we're also talking to airports that are starting to ask questions about high voltage charging. So it's a conversation that is, you can tell it's starting to happen more and more. So
I am really not trying to push the juice box because we have limited production. However, the standard configuration has an EV charger on it.
Yeah.
So we know that high voltage EV charging is already here, and it's just going to continue to grow.
Yeah. And we've geared the product up in anticipation that, hey, if the industry does shift, we've got a solution that's ready to go right
And
out
if
of
you
the
want,
box.
actually, we have a customer who wanted exclusively this cart for high voltage charging. They bought, this might have been a story for the end of the conversation, but they bought something like 150 electric high voltage EVs and no chargers.
Wow.
And they're like, we need about 50 of these next month. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
We'll talk about
no
that.
problem. Yeah, exactly. Where is that being like manufactured, put together, assembled, whatever?
Yeah, right now it's in Dallas, but at the show, we had about 10 different people come up and offer to be our manufacturer for that.
Oh, okay.
So we can still build them in small quantities, and we do that in Dallas, but we're evaluating like a high production, real quality manufacturer that can handle high volume.
And with a name like Juice Box, that thing's just going to fly off the shelves, man. I mean,
Who wouldn't want a juice box? Come on.
That's what I mean. Everybody wants a juice box. That's some good marketing
I was
over
gonna
there.
say,
Devin.
And I'm like,
Marketing
and
101.
with the wrap, Devin.
Yeah, he already brought up the wrap. All right, so kind of last big topic here is autonomous. So what do you think about our industry going to autonomous vehicles? And how does Allen Energy, if at all, fit into that?
I think it's still got a ways to go. But it was another topic that was thrown around a lot at the GSE Expo, and a lot of the OEMs did have their concepts showcased. And we had a conversation with somebody last night about how their company is, really starting to get into this world of technology, and they're really focusing on entering that market so that they can give back to their shareholders what they're looking for. And I think that is entering this new stage of autonomous vehicles. Again, like I have said a couple times, the industry is fearful of change, and that is probably the biggest change that we will ever see, just pulling labor off of the airport and putting vehicles that can do the work for us. So I think there's some politics that's probably going to slow it down as well. But to my point, the technology is there, and people are investing heavily in it. And I do think that it is the thing of the future.
And well, as far as Allen Energy's part in that, we offer, I think the one component that's missing so far in autonomous vehicles is you still need a person to plug it in. So we offer a wireless charger. So you have an autonomous vehicle, you give it a location to go back and charge, and it pulls up as soon as it gets close enough. And now we have the technology. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can get within 6 inches or so, and it will automatically sense the vehicle, make sure that it's safe, and it'll start charging. And it's all done automatically. There's communication to identify the battery, and we can charge any chemistry.
That's amazing. So it's like your iPhone, right? You just like kind of put it on that thing and it just starts charging.
But you don't even put it on that thing.
Right.
It puts itself on that thing.
Yeah.
Because it'd be a little bit scary if you had GSE operators pulling up to wireless chargers, because one, they're expensive pieces of equipment, and
you can't protect them with bollards and fences. You have to get close.
You've got to get, within a very short distance for the power to actually exchange.
But that makes a lot of sense for you all to get involved in that, because like you said, if we're trying to cut out operators, right? I mean, that's kind of, that's a big deal.
That's a big piece of it. And
even with operators,
well, they don't always plug it in.
As I keep saying it over and over again, plugging in your battery to a charger seems like such an obvious thing. My daughter doesn't know how to do it, so I don't know why I expect rampers to do it. I think like a pushback's going back to the same place. If it just went back to the same place and got charged every time, be perfect.
technology also, it does exist. I can't remember what airport it is, but at the airport electrification conference on the East Coast, back, what was that?
Yeah, I think that's where I met you.
Yeah.
Like officially.
Yeah. Somebody was talking about the wireless charging application that they were using for the buses that they use to move passengers around the airport. So it's there, it's out on the airport. It just hasn't really been brought into GSE yet. And I think the one thing that is holding it back is it safe, and is it going to be cost effective if we are running tugs into wireless chargers?
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, like you said, I mean, autonomous is definitely coming, just like high voltage, right? Like we can't stop it. It's coming. I think that high voltage may beat autonomous, but we'll see. It'll be a race to the long finish, I think, on that one. Mm-hmm. But
you got to put sodium batteries in the race too.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that's going to probably be last in that race, but that's just maybe not. But all right, so now we're on to the fun part of the podcast. Wait a minute, hold on. Do we have anything else that I haven't asked you about or we haven't covered? I want to make sure that you all get everything out that you want to talk about.
I'd say we did have a product that got a lot of attention at the show. We have a battery identifier that can, part of the integration in GSE's always been a challenge. So we do have an identifier you can put on your battery that'll allow it to charge on multiple different brands of chargers.
Oh,
so
that'll be nice.
Solves a lot of problems for a lot of people.
That thing will be flying off the shelves. Like the juice box. What have we named that?
Well, that one actually does have a name that's very similar. And one of the customers actually gave it to us, and we've been running with it. But we call it the Todd box.
Oh, the Todd box.
Yeah.
I like it.
Now we've got the juice box and the Todd box.
Okay. So the Todd box, it'll make it so that way, no matter what the charger is, it can talk to that battery and charge it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
That cuts out a lot of the headaches, right?
And I think we want to work with the industry to try to standardize protocols, pinouts, contactors, connectors. Just let's, once and for all, I think we can work together. I think that would be a great value to the industry. So we're gonna as a company, we'll be pushing that.
Yep, and we're currently working on projects that require universal identifier. So,
and it's not easy. It's not easy to talk to some of these chargers. We have our competitors, battery companies, approaching us, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly, trying to buy that identifier because they can't charge on every charger. They don't know how. Mm-hmm. But if they buy that identifier, they can. So it's been interesting.
That's an amazing piece of technology. I know, just coming from the manufacturing side, when a customer would try to explain to me what charger they have, and I got to make sure that it matches the battery we're giving them and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's always a task, right? So, so I think that's definitely something the industry needed. That's an amazing thing you got there.
That it's been helpful to a lot of people, and I think that there's still a lot of people that don't even know that it exists.
Well, they will now.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
welcome.
Here we are. Yeah. But no, I mean, we had people walk up to us at the GSE Expo not knowing that we had that device, presenting the issues that they were having, and here we are waving our universal identifier around, saying,
and
"Hey,
it really was
it."
just sitting on the desk. We had people from other manufacturers who were exhibiting heard a story of a problem and said, I think I have an answer for you. And they walk them over to our booth and say, I think this might help you.
This is what you need. Yeah. The Todd's out of the box now. Yeah. It's out there,
Yeah. And just for the record, one of those projects is one of the things that I have thrown myself into the fire with, trying to implement onto equipment, and
that's not going so well for Devin right now. But he's not going to give up. He's going to figure it out.
I had a failure of a day, but you know what? If you have a bad day, you wake up the next day and you just have a better one.
You go again, right?
I'm actually looking forward to going back home so that I can just continue trying to.
I got a call from one of our engineers yesterday, Todd. Devin called me 15 times today.
I went back and counted how many times I called her on Monday because I didn't believe that it was 15, and it was actually only 9. So I've got a little talking to Rebecca.
Right. Okay. Yeah. She exaggerated a little bit, just like you do.
Yeah. We've got one thing in common.
Exactly. There you go. All right. So Devin, you've been in the industry long enough to have probably a decent GSE story. So why don't we get your GSE story out there to the community?
Oh, man. Do you want a PG version or do you want a rated R version?
We're going to go PG today.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to go Lion King.
Lion King. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a really cool story, and it was a project that I worked on at LAX years ago. It was just a really fascinating thing for me to see, but it was the Summit of Americas event that the government was holding. Well, the U.S. was holding it somewhere in LA. Couldn't tell you where. Didn't really matter to me. But we had presidents and officials from all over the world, leaders of countries flying in military aircrafts and presidential aircrafts. Air Force One flew in and was right in front of me, but I was in a role where I was leasing equipment, and we had leased tons of equipment to handle all of these aircrafts that were coming in with presidents from all over the world. And I went out there to watch the whole thing. Why not? Our equipment was out there. I had a reason to be at the airport. So I helped facilitate the whole thing, and for a whole day I just watched presidents roll in on their very luxurious jets. And, I watched C-17s come in with more equipment. And
it's one of those moments where you're like, I never would have guessed this is what I would be doing today,
I never thought I would be here.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. And long story short, the coolest part of it was I got to see Air Force One come in, as close as I could get to it. They only let you get within a certain range of it. But I got to watch the president come off the airplane, and I got to look around me and see all the snipers on the top of the roofs just protecting him as he walked across the airport and got into his armored black car and drove away. But the whole experience as a whole was something that has been very memorable to me, because I don't, that's a once in a lifetime thing
for sure,
me, I think.
Yeah.
But it was cool. And I got to roam the airport, and I'm walking underneath
scary.
the wings of, it's scary that they let me out.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I got to walk under the wing of, the president of Peru's airplane. I was
big fan of him.
Yeah. We had Peruvian food last night. So I really like it
exactly.
too.
That's why you went there.
Yeah, exactly. No, I also got a tour of the president of Brazil's aircraft, which was, not as nice as Air Force One probably, but it was a pretty cool.
I'm sorry to our Brazilian listeners. Just apologize right now.
Yeah. I didn't leave any presents inside of the restroom there, But no, it was a very memorable experience.
That is cool.
I always choose that story because it's family friendly, and
it's a rare GSE story where you actually get to talk about the president. So
definitely,
that's impressive.
It's a story that doesn't get anybody in trouble, so we'll stay away.
I like
stories.
that. Yeah. I love those stories. Todd, do we have any stories that isn't going to get anybody in trouble? I mean, you already told your story a little bit. I mean, you had such a good, fascinating beginning of your career, but
sometimes in GSE, you think nothing can surprise you, and then you get a call and you're like, wow, can't believe that happened. I can remember early on, this is going back 20, 25 years ago, new piece of electric equipment. No one knew what it was. Battery gauge, the fuel gauge said it was low. And the guy went and he filled the battery up with gasoline. No joke.
Whoa. Yeah, he won the story for the day. I'm sorry. That beats your president, whatever you said.
We had a guy, the battery wasn't charging because of an integration issue. So he took a 400 amp hour battery, plugged it into a dumb charger overnight, put 2,000 amp hours into it, and literally melted. They came in the next morning, it was melted. It was a melted
That's amazing.
Pile of lead and plastic.
Wow.
Just one more. I'm going to tell one more. This is not exciting.
Okay.
But it's a safety issue. I got a call from a GSE department saying that this station is very unhappy with your batteries. And I'm like, okay, didn't even know you had put batteries there. So they're like, yeah, for the last 4 months, every morning they have to go out and turn the batteries on. And I'm like, what? And they're like, oh yeah, they turn off every night and they're very unhappy. They think your batteries are terrible. And I'm like, we actually sent Rebecca out, and turns out that the batteries were faulting at night, and they were just resetting them. But they had taken the identifier off of random, not just anything consistent but random lead acid batteries, put it on a lithium battery. And that's a dangerous thing. And over the course of every morning for 4 months, no one said, why are these batteries faulting?
Yeah.
And instead of maybe calling somebody or anything, they just kept turning them back on. And lithium, as excited as we are for that technology to come into the industry, it's still a pretty volatile chemistry, no matter what chemistry you're talking about. So safety is going to be, as we start having new technology, not just batteries, but new technology, safety is going to be a huge issue. Sorry, that was probably the most boring.
I enjoyed
end of
it.
End of the conversation.
But I think, it had a very good point to it that, as we do move forward, we've got to be very focused on the safety aspect of what we are doing, because to your point as well, you can just slap a device on top of a battery that completely takes over control of what is going on when you are charging it. And that's a very scary thing. So, ways that we can eliminate having things.
I got one more story. This just happened.
Oh, yeah. You said 4. Let's go 4.
I think I said 3, but no, we'll keep going. We've got another hour. Anyway, so you said the record was 90 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't even know how long it's been.
It was like a weekend evening, and I'm getting texts from someone I don't know. He's telling me I don't know anything about batteries or electric vehicles, but I got to get this back in service. I'm trying to help him. And I'm like, hey, let's just back away. This is dangerous. And he's like, and then a half hour later, he's like, I was able to break open the lock on the cover of the battery, and I just got shocked, and there was a loud noise, and smoke is coming. And fortunately, he didn't hurt himself
Oh my gosh.
Or the battery. He blew a contactor and a controller, but we really do have to be careful.
You got to be careful. Yeah, we interviewed, I interviewed 2 guys from Textron. One had just retired, and he was like the head of service, and the other guy had been working on GSE for the last 35 years. I think it's 35, 38, something crazy number. And he's like, it used to be people would call me and I could walk them, through the stuff right over the phone. He goes, now, I'm like, is it high voltage? It's like the first thing I ask, because if it's high voltage, I'm not walking you through that. I have to come and do that, because it is so dangerous to make sure that these people aren't, you can't mess with high voltage if you don't know what you're doing, right? So I think, again, the safety of making sure that you're good. You're not just breaking into batteries and just doing whatever you want, right? So anyway, those good stories. Devin, you look like you have something to say.
No, I was just going to start blurting out my rated R story anyways, but we're going to...
Oh, no, we're going to leave that one on the...
I will definitely get somebody in trouble.
I kept all my stories very anonymous.
You did. Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I appreciate you guys coming down today to Orlando and meeting with me. It's been great learning about Allen Energy. Obviously, I've known Devin for a little bit. I've known you for a little bit longer, I think, and I've heard good things about Allen Energy, so I wanted to have you guys on the podcast, and I think we learned a lot today and got to learn about your products and about how you're so busy you don't even know what to do as far as manufacturing these things. So we'll have these manufacturers, they're going to listen to this, they're going to reach out to you, and they're going to ask if they can build it. So maybe you'll have a couple more people reach out to you. Yeah,
and we want to thank you and Fort Brand for having us. This has been an awesome experience for both of us. Like we had said earlier in the conversation, I can finally check this off my list.
Yeah, that's right.
My mom called me yesterday and she said, well, why are you traveling this time? And I said, Mom, I'm actually going to go be on a GSE podcast. And she said, is it live? Can I watch it while you're doing it? And I said, Mom, no, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, one day we're going to do a live one. We have not done a live GSE podcast yet, but we got to figure out that technology and we'll do it.
Good.
We need to meet up at a GHI or Expo or something. That would be a perfect place.
Oh yeah, that is the last thing that we'll talk about. So what shows are you attending coming up, either the end of the year or beginning of next?
Yeah. Next week, actually, we've got the NBAA conference in Las Vegas, and I can't say I have ever been to that conference before. I think that there will.
Are you going to walk it or exhibit?
We're just walking it. And it's just myself and Jesse. I figured it was a good time to go check it out. I've got some customers in the FBO space that they've got electric equipment at every single one of their locations across the United States. And they've always got questions about charging capabilities and how they can advance their fleets and where they should be spending their money on technical advancements. So I figured that this would probably be a good year for us to go poke around and see what kind of conversations that we have. It's not that I want to be in Vegas again. We were just there having a wild time for the GSE Expo, and I don't know if my body can handle it again. So this
will be a little toned down version of that, I guess. So
I think it's going to
wild time.
Yeah,
I haven't seen your expense report yet.
So we got NBAA, and then I'm guessing you all will be at GHI Americas in Panama next year.
Yeah,
is that a good guess?
Yep,
we will definitely be in Panama. We'll also be in Amsterdam.
Oh, you're going to the GHI annual conference in Amsterdam,
and then you've got one in LA. Some coming up.
The West Coast Electrification Conference is coming up as well. I'll be attending that, listening to everybody speak. I won't be on a panel myself.
Well, that's a miss.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I'll have to contact somebody about that.
Yeah,
that's okay.
You know, the thing about being on a panel is they can't edit sections of it out.
Yeah, exactly. They can't stop you from saying the right.
He did ask if he could be on a panel, and they said we heard.
They said, "Why don't you warm up with the GSE podcast?"
Yeah, exactly. There we go. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, thank you all so much for coming down. I appreciate it. This has been Todd and Matt and Devin for the GSE podcast. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the GSE Podcast. We hope you found it informative and engaging. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with your colleagues and peers in the ground support equipment community. Your support is invaluable to us. We'd appreciate it if you could take a moment to rate and review our podcast. Your feedback not only encourages us, but also helps expand our reach within the GSE community. Keep an eye out for more episodes as we continue to explore the dynamic world of ground operations, bringing you the latest trends, insights, and stories from the industry. Thank you for listening to the GSE Podcast. Until we meet again, stay grounded and keep pushing forward.